And it happened again to the next guard and the next guard. So they had to come up with a rule to say, no guard can guard this man for more than 3 months. He's infectious. You have to watch out for him. One thing that Nelson Mandela really valued is children. He was asked a question, say, Madiba, out of all those years you spent in jail, what is the one thing that you missed? And Madiba said, all those years I spent in jail, I never heard the sound of children. Now we all know the sound of children represents new hope. It represents a new beginning. New hope where we can redefine our culture, redefine the rules of engagement for society in a world filled with new challenges. They are the people who are going to be at the forefront of innovation and being able to really overcome some of these issues that we have. And when you look at the world that we're living in today, we all know we're not going to live here forever. So is it not our responsibility, our obligation, to make sure that we do what we can to empower young people so that they can have the necessary tools in order to get rid of these challenges so that they can fight new challenges and not the same old challenges that we've been fighting for the past 100 years. And so our foundation, Africa Rising, has come up with a leadership program that aims at millennials to groom these young people to become leaders in the spirit and in the light of Nelson Mandela. And in building this leadership program, we are looking to partner with some of you here in this room who are interested to making sure that Nelson Mandela is not a leader that we hail as one of the greatest leaders in the 21st century, but we make sure that there are more Nelson Mandelas who are coming up in the next decades to come, which we call the 100 Mandelas. As we're celebrating 100 years of Nelson Mandela, let us start by grooming 100 Mandelas for the next generation of leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, the UN Sustainable Development Goals calls on all of us across society to be creative and innovative to address the challenges that they lay out. I am encouraged by the growing momentum across forward-looking companies across the world who are taking up the call to action around better business for a better world. I also commend business organizations who are advocating for meaningful action in line with the SDGs and the principles of corporate sustainability laid out by the UN Global Impact. More than ever, we need to build and invest and create opportunities and prosperity and human rights for all. Public-private partnerships are an essential vehicle to bring about these aspirations. As an ambassador of UNAIDS, I am particularly concerned that we do not step back from working towards ending the HIV/AIDS epidemic as a public health threat by 2030. My message on AIDS is simple. Ending AIDS is everyone's business. Let us work together to leverage your ongoing commitments to help improve prevention and treatment services as well as respecting human rights across all your operations. Business as usual will not help us reach this goal by 2030. We know a new course is required and a new purse is required, driven by a collective ambition to improve the state of the world. May the values of my grandfather advocate guide us in our daily actions and decisions within our organizations. Now, growing up with my grandfather, you can imagine, I met Michael Jackson at home. I met Fidel Castro in my own home. Mike Tyson, Michelle Obama, you name it. But the special thing that touched me about my grandfather is that he treated those people the very same way as Mama Oli who cooked for us, as Albert who cleaned the garden, as Bramaik who was the driver. Because Nelson Mandela understood that regardless of your race, your age, or your sex, or your history, we all have the potential to achieve greatness. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ndaba. Wherever your grandfather is, and we know he's in some celestial place, he'd be very proud of you today. And I think he would tell us from somewhere up there to say, hey, make him the first of the 100 new Nelson Mandelas. And thank you very much, too, for your clarion call to everyone here. Better business for a better world. People working together and certainly investing in youth to achieve a better future. Thank you so much for coming and speaking us, and with such from your heart and your head today here at the Global Compact. Thank you so much, Ndaba. Let us now get a little bit of the insight that has been gleaned from your table conversations. We're going to have 3 people come up to briefly give us a little bit of a sense of what was achieved at your table. And we're going to begin first with Ren Hongbin, who's the chairman of Sinomac.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, today we are gathered to address how we can build and invest in peace for all. So when we talk about peace for all, we have to give development to all. But poverty is a real enemy. It's just like a shadow that you are born with. The older you get, the longer it grows. It just follows you around. It makes your future dark. Sinomac understands this on a very personal level. Hundreds of millions of Chinese were born into poverty, but has escaped poverty all in just over a generation. As a developing country, more must be done to lift people out of poverty. Every year we send our managers to live in deprived areas. They live face to face with poverty and bring back their experience. This is why I'm glad to announce that we are establishing a program to increase awareness throughout Sinomac called Bringing Poverty to the Boardroom, or Addressing Poverty in the Boardroom. So the debate is still going on among my colleagues, so which title should be used? Poverty is terrible. It destroys families and societies alike. It disturbs stability and peace. We want to disrupt the value chains that perpetuate poverty, inequality, and instability. We want to stop them moving from one generation to the next. That's why we have chosen the following 3 initiatives to commit to: Business for Peace, Women's Empowerment Principles, and Generation Unlimited. We have chosen Business for Peace because development can bring peace. This is the foundation of the Belt and Road Initiative. We operate in diverse regions of the world. Some are not the most stable. We understand that some local conditions need special treatment through policies, standards, and actions. Through inclusive stakeholder engagement, we power people's lives. This is the true power of sustainable infrastructure, especially in high-risk areas. Unfortunately, women and youth are often unfairly affected in high-risk areas. We must empower women and youth today because it is good for us all. This is why we also commit to Women's Empowerment Principles and Generation Unlimited. Women and youth are key to stopping poverty, stalking people from cradle to grave. Through our Bringing Poverty to the Boardroom initiative, we will learn more about fighting the disease of poverty. This is inspired by the Chinese government's efforts to end poverty in China by 2020. We look forward to reporting the results in more detail. We all want to live in a world without poverty and conflict. This is the world we want. So let's work together to create a community with a shared future for mankind. These commitments are good for humanity and the sustainable development goals. I commend them to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Wang Hem, for your very strong commitment to both women and for the next generation, for the youth in China beyond. And that's also not just a strong statement from a big Chinese corporation, but it's a reminder that we are talking about business coming together from all parts of the world. And so this brings us to our next speaker, who comes from the Middle East, Oriana Awaishe, who's the executive manager of Guterres Garments and Fashion, which of course is from Jordan.
Thank you. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Oriana Awaishe and I am an Arabian Jordanian woman. Although being young, I am a mother and a wife for 3 charming boys. And also I am the executive manager for Guterres Garments and Fashions Manufacturing Company. It is the first Jordanian company registered at NASDAQ in New York. After graduation and spending 4 years working as a public school teacher, I decided to give up my career to join the private sector. The experience has been rewarding in so many different levels. It has helped me thrive personally and professionally. It also allowed me to help others in desperate needs to find employment, security, stability in their lives. Although I come from the safest place in Middle East, yet our neighboring countries are experiencing some of the world's worst humanitarian crises. After long hours at work, I often come home and watch the news. I see the aftermath of violence in Syria, of the ruins, the casualties and the endless suffering of women, men and children. I see images of Yazidi women who have been captured and tortured as slaves in Iraq. A Yemeni woman forced into homelessness and struggling to find means to feed themselves and their children. It makes me think how to end this, how to bring light into this darkness. I am sure this is a question that has crossed all your minds. We say, don't give me a fish, but teach me fishing. Giving people employment is giving them hope, self-confidence, and life. This is what we have done in Guterres Garments. In Jordan, we have hundreds of thousands of Syrian refugees seeking safety away from the violence that has ripped their country apart. In our factory, we are committed to being a part of the solution to this crisis. We want to enable and empower women who lost everything. As a result, we went to Zaatari camp. It is Jordan's largest refugee camp for Syrian refugees, which is an hour and a half away from our factory, to meet with women whom are seeking employment. This was done with the support of the International Labour Organization, which has set up an employment office in the coordination with the UNHCR to help job seekers to meet potential employers. Through a job fair organized by ILO, we met those workers and discussed their concern. Their concern was they said the camp is far and they had no means of transportation. So we told them, we will provide you with a free transportation from and to the camp. They said, we have no place to leave our babies.